Ryan Hutchinson's face went from smug to confused to absolutely panicked as his attorney read the legal brief out loud. "Mr. Hutchinson, the non-compete agreement Ms. Santos signed contains a critical error. It references California Business Code Section 16600. However, Ms. Santos was hired while residing in Texas and worked remotely from Texas for her entire tenure. California non-compete law doesn't apply to Texas residents. The contract is unenforceable." Ryan had me escorted out of the office by security 3 months ago, made a whole show of it in front of my entire team, told everyone I was fired for performance issues. He thought the non-compete clause would prevent me from working in software sales for 2 years, thought he'd destroyed my career. He forgot to check which state I lived in when he drafted the contract. That mistake just cost him 4 of his biggest clients and about $12 million in annual revenue. My name is Camila Santos. I'm 31 years old, married to my husband Daniel, and 3 months ago I was the top-performing senior sales executive at Quantum Software Systems, a B2B software company based in San Francisco. I was exceptional at my job, top sales performer 3 years running. I brought in an average of $8 million annually. My client retention rate was 94%, highest in the company. I worked from home in Austin, Texas. Quantum hired me remotely because they wanted to expand in the Texas market, and I had the relationships to make that happen. My boss was Ryan Hutchinson, VP of Sales, 47 years old, 20 years in tech sales, and absolutely convinced that his success was due to his brilliance, not the talented sales team doing the actual work. Ryan and I had a functional relationship for 2 years. I hit my numbers, he left me alone. Simple. Then, 6 months ago, things changed. Ryan hired his former colleague, Brad Mitchell, as a senior sales executive. Brad was based in San Francisco, Ryan's golf buddy. Their kids went to the same private school. Brad was mediocre at best, missed his quotas, lost deals to competitors, made promises to clients he couldn't keep, but Ryan loved him. Every sales meeting, Ryan would praise Brad's strategic approach and relationship building. Meanwhile, my actual closed deals generating millions in revenue barely got mentioned. Then Ryan started redistributing territories. Month 1, he took one of my major accounts and gave it to Brad. Brad needs some wins to build momentum. Month 2, another account reassigned. We're rebalancing territory coverage. Month 3, my largest client, Grace Wilson at DataCore Technologies, a $3 million annual account I'd personally brought to Quantum and managed for 2 years, reassigned to Brad. I requested a meeting with Ryan. "Ryan, you've reassigned 3 of my major accounts to Brad in 3 months. That's over $5 million in annual revenue. Can you explain the reasoning?" "Camila, we're optimizing territory management. Brad's in San Francisco, where most of our clients are based. Face-to-face relationship building is more effective than remote management. Grace Wilson is in Austin, same city I'm in. I have face-to-face access. Brad's in San Francisco. He's the remote one for that account." "The decision's made, Camila. You still have plenty of accounts. Hit your numbers and we won't have issues." I left that meeting knowing exactly what was happening. Ryan was systematically transferring my best accounts to his buddy, setting me up for failure, so he could either fire me or force me out. I talked to Omar Hassan, a colleague I trusted, about what was happening. "Camila, Ryan's done this before. He brought in another friend 2 years ago, slowly transferred accounts from a top performer to the friend, then fired the top performer for missing quotas. It's his pattern. So what do I do? Document everything and start looking for other opportunities because this isn't going to end well." He was right. 2 weeks later, Ryan called me for a video meeting. His face was on screen, but I could see HR in the background. Never a good sign. "Camila, we're terminating your employment effective immediately. Your performance hasn't met our standards. You'll receive 2 weeks severance. All company property must be returned today. You're contractually bound by a 2-year non-compete agreement. HR will email termination paperwork. Ryan, my numbers are solid. I've hit 97% of quota despite you reassigning my major accounts. The decision is final. Good luck, Camila. He disconnected the call. 20 minutes later, I got an email. Not just termination paperwork. An email sent to the entire sales team with me CC'd. Team, Camila Santos is no longer with Quantum effective immediately due to performance issues. Brad Mitchell will be assuming her remaining accounts. Please direct all client inquiries to Brad. Ryan. Performance issues. He told everyone, my entire professional network, that I was fired for poor performance after 3 years of being the top sales performer. But here's what Ryan didn't know about me. I don't accept defeat quietly. That afternoon, still processing the shock, I did 3 things. First, I called Benjamin Cole, an employment attorney in Austin that a friend had recommended. Benjamin, I was just fired. My former employer sent a company-wide email claiming performance issues, and they're enforcing a 2-year non-compete that prevents me from working in software sales. I need to know my options. Send me your employment contract, termination email, and that company-wide message. Let me review everything. Second, I called Grace Wilson, my client at DataCore, the account Ryan had reassigned to Brad. Grace and I had built a genuine relationship over 2 years. She trusted me. Camila, I just got the strangest email from Quantum saying you left and someone named Brad is my new contact. What happened? I was fired, Grace. And honestly, I don't fully understand why. My numbers were strong, but they're claiming performance issues. That makes 0 sense. You've been fantastic. Our software implementation has been flawless. You've been responsive. DataCore's been very happy. This Brad person called me today and couldn't even answer basic questions about our account. I'm sorry you're dealing with that transition. I wanted to call personally since we've worked together for 2 years. Camila, I appreciate that. Let me think about this situation. DataCore's contract with Quantum is up for renewal in 3 months. If Brad can't provide the service level you did, we'll be exploring other options. Third, I pulled out my employment contract and read every single word, including the non-compete clause. Page 7, Section 3. Employee agrees not to engage in competing software sales activities within the state of California for a period of 24 months following termination. This agreement is governed by California Business and Professions Code Section 16600. California Business and Professions Code, Section 16600. I lived in Texas. I worked remotely from Texas. I was hired while living in Texas. I Googled California Business Code 16600. Every contract by which anyone is restrained from engaging in a lawful profession, trade, or business of any kind is to that extent void. California non-competes are largely unenforceable, except in very specific circumstances like sale of business. And even if they were enforceable, they only apply to California residents. I wasn't a California resident. I never had been during my employment. Benjamin called me back 3 hours later. Camila, this non-compete is unenforceable, completely void. Because of California law? Partially. California doesn't enforce non-competes except in very narrow situations. But more importantly, you're a Texas resident. You were hired in Texas. You worked from Texas. California employment law doesn't apply to you. Whoever drafted this contract made a fundamental error. They copied a California-based contract template and used it for a Texas remote employee. So I can work in software sales immediately? You can work anywhere except California, and even California is questionable. The contract is invalid. If Quantum tries to enforce it, we'll destroy them in court. Send them a letter through me making it clear you're aware the contract is unenforceable and you'll be pursuing opportunities in your industry. Benjamin sent a formal legal letter to Quantum that afternoon. Ms. Santos's employment contract contains a non-compete clause referencing California law. However, Ms. Santos is a Texas resident and was hired and worked exclusively from Texas. The non-compete provision is unenforceable. Ms. Santos will be pursuing employment opportunities in her chosen profession without restriction. Any attempt to interfere with her employment will result in immediate legal action. Ryan received that letter the next morning. Omar told me later that Ryan lost his mind, screaming at HR and legal about how incompetent they were for screwing up the contract. Meanwhile, I was making calls. I reached out to Quantum's main competitor, Apex Software Solutions. Their VP of Sales had tried to recruit me twice over the past year. Michael, this is Camila Santos. Are you still looking for a senior sales executive for the Texas region? Camila, I heard you left Quantum. Absolutely yes. When can you start? Immediately. And Michael, I'm bringing relationships with several major accounts that might be interested in exploring alternatives to Quantum. Let's talk compensation. Offer was excellent. 20% higher base salary than Quantum, better commission structure, and they understood that my client relationships were valuable. I accepted and started the following Monday. Then, I called Grace Wilson. Grace, it's Camila. I wanted to update you on my situation. I've joined Apex Software Solutions as their senior sales executive for the Texas region. Apex? They're Quantum's main competitor, right? Yes, and Grace, I'm not calling to poach your business, but I know your Quantum contract is up for renewal soon. If you're unhappy with the service Brad's providing, I want you to know you have options. Camila, I'll be honest, Brad has been a disaster. He doesn't understand our business. He's unresponsive. Last week we had a critical issue and he didn't return my calls for 2 days. You would have handled it in 2 hours. I'm sorry you're experiencing that. At Apex, I could provide the same level of service you were getting from me at Quantum, potentially at a better price point with more flexibility. Send me a proposal. DataCore's ready to make a change. 3 weeks later, DataCore signed with Apex, $3 million in annual revenue, moved from Quantum to my new company. But I wasn't done. Over the next 2 months, I reached out to 3 other clients Ryan had reassigned from me to Brad. Same conversation, same result. Wilson Manufacturing, $2.5 million, switched to Apex. Henderson Technologies, $3.2 million, switched to Apex. Riverside Industries, $3.8 million, switched to Apex. Total revenue transferred from Quantum to Apex, $12.5 million. All accounts I'd originally brought to Quantum, all relationships I'd built and maintained. All perfectly legal, since my non-compete was unenforceable. Ryan found out when his Q2 revenue report showed massive losses. Omar sent me a message. Ryan's been in emergency meetings all week. 4 major accounts left. Board is asking questions. He's claiming you sabotaged the company, but legal told him there's nothing they can do because the non-compete doesn't apply to you. It's chaos. The chaos got worse. Brad, Ryan's buddy who'd been given all my accounts, was fired for missing quotas by 60%. Turned out, without me managing those relationships, he couldn't keep the accounts happy. Then, the board called a meeting. Omar told me what happened. Board reviewed what happened. They figured out Ryan systematically transferred your accounts to an underperforming friend, then fired you to cover the redistribution. When you left, you took the client relationships because the non-compete was invalid. Board sees this as Ryan's management failure. He's being demoted from VP to regional director. 50% pay cut. No bonus eligibility. Ryan had me publicly fired via company-wide email claiming performance issues. 3 months later, he was demoted for management failures that cost the company $12 million in revenue. But the best moment, the absolute best moment, came 4 months after I joined Apex. I got a LinkedIn message from Ryan. Camila, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to reach out about potential opportunities. I'm exploring new positions and wondered if Apex might have openings. I saw you're doing well there. Any chance you could refer me? Ryan Hutchinson, the VP who fired me, who sent a company-wide email trashing my performance, who tried to enforce a non-compete to destroy my career, was asking me for a job referral. I replied, "Ryan, I appreciate you reaching out. Unfortunately, Apex's culture prioritizes integrity and accurate performance assessment. I don't think it would be a good fit. Best of luck in your search." I never heard from him again. 1 year after leaving Quantum, I'm thriving at Apex Software Solutions. I've brought in $18 million in new business. I was promoted to Regional Sales Director. I manage a team of 8 sales executives across Texas. My income is double what I made at Quantum. I have stock options. I have respect. More importantly, I have clients who trust me and chose to follow me because of the relationships we'd built. Grace Wilson told me something 6 months ago that stuck with me. "Camila, you know why DataCore switched to Apex? It wasn't just about you leaving Quantum. It was about how Quantum treated you. They fired their best sales executive, publicly trashed her reputation, and replaced her with someone incompetent. That told us everything about their values. We didn't want to work with a company like that." She was right. Quantum didn't just lose me. They lost clients because of how they lost me. Omar left Quantum 3 months after I did. He's now one of my senior sales executives at Apex. When I asked him why he left, "After watching what Ryan did to you, and seeing that the company supported it, I didn't want to work there anymore. You fought back and won. That took courage." As for Quantum, they're struggling, lost major accounts, sales team turnover is high. Ryan's demotion became public knowledge in the industry, which damaged their reputation further. Ryan's still at Quantum, but as a regional director making a fraction of his VP salary. His career peaked and crashed, all because he made one critical error. He thought the non-compete clause gave him power over me. He thought he could fire me publicly, destroy my reputation, and trap me in a 2-year career exile. He forgot to check which state I lived in when he drafted the contract. That mistake cost him $12 million in revenue, his VP position, his reputation, and his career trajectory. Meanwhile, that same invalid non-compete gave me the freedom to take everything I'd built and use it to succeed somewhere better. People ask if I feel guilty about taking Quantum's clients to Apex, if what I did was ethical. I don't feel guilty at all. Those clients didn't belong to Quantum. They belonged to the relationships I'd spent years building. Grace Wilson didn't trust Quantum. She trusted me. When Ryan fired me and replaced me with an incompetent friend, those clients had every right to reconsider their vendor relationships. I didn't poach anyone. I didn't badmouth Quantum. I simply told clients I was available at a competitor, and they chose to move their business. That's not sabotage. That's the free market. Here's what I learned through all of this. First, read your contracts. Every word, every clause. Understand what you're signing. Ryan thought the non-compete gave him power. It was actually invalid, but I only knew that because I read it carefully. Second, relationships matter more than company names. Clients work with people they trust, not logos. When you build genuine relationships, those relationships follow you. Third, how you treat people has consequences. Ryan could have let me leave quietly. Instead, he publicly humiliated me with that company-wide email. That humiliation motivated me to compete aggressively. If he'd been professional, I might have moved to a different market or industry. Instead, he made it personal, so I made sure he felt the consequences. Ryan escorted me out of Quantum thinking he'd destroyed my career, thinking the non-compete would keep me sidelined for 2 years while he gave my accounts to his buddy. That non-compete was worthless. The contract he thought protected him was written wrong, and that mistake, that one overlooked detail about which state I lived in, cost him everything. Ryan taught me something valuable, though. Always check the fine print. Sometimes the thing someone uses to trap you is actually the key to your freedom. His non-compete was supposed to cage me for 2 years. Instead, it set me free on day 1. And I used that freedom to take everything he thought he'd stolen from me.